Tonight, News 6 investigates the renewed warning about drowning. We just told you about a 5-year-old who nearly drowned today. Doctors are going to be keeping a close eye on him because they say close calls can turn deadly if not treated in time, especially with children. News 6 investigator Adriana Ivashinsky joins us now with more on this renewed warning. Renewed because, of course, I feel like we've heard it before, but maybe not so much this party.
Well, exactly. And just because your child is alert and talking doesn't mean he or she is out of the woods. Now, this is especially true if your kid encounters any kind of water emergency and got any fluid inside the lungs. Now, doctors say the key is getting medical treatment as soon as possible, since waiting too long could cause a downward spiral.
The first 24 hours is quite critical.
Dr. Shobha Srikantan is a pediatrician and critical care physician at Orlando's Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children. She says 10% of the child deaths that happen each day are from drowning, and she says some of those cases could have been prevented.
You reach a kind of a critical threshold where your kids aren't able to get in the oxygen that they need into their lungs.
So what happens if your kid gets caught under a big wave in the ocean or even struggles underwater in the pool? Do you bother to take them to the hospital? The doctor says you do if you notice any of these signs, including difficulty breathing, increased coughing or fatigue, or no appetite. And of course, if they start throwing up, get to a doctor right away.
What happened is they struggled under the water and this inflammation process is going on in their lungs, so it is an aspiration event that is triggering like a pneumonitis, an inflammation, or even pulmonary edema.
And Dr. Srikantan says that's when we see tragedies like what happened to 4-year-old Frankie Delgado in Texas last month, who days after going swimming with his family stopped breathing and died of complications from drowning.
I would just say if it seems a little unusual to you, don't be afraid to seek medical attention.
And once there, a machine like this can check a person's blood pressure to see if he or she needs more critical care.
And if they need some oxygen, we give them some oxygen. And that process usually resolves itself in 4 to 6 hours if they're given the supportive care. And that's the key.
Now, Dr. Srikantan says a way to prevent these close calls turning into something much worse is what she calls the ABCs, which stands for ability, barriers, and close supervision. And I posted examples of each of these at clickorlando.com.
Keeping them out of trouble in the first place.
That's the key. Prevention is always the key.
Right. Mine are 6 and 8 now, Adriana, and I feel like I can back off a little bit, but you still, even at that age, you can't back off.
You can't, because usually your child won't tell you all the time if they had maybe an underwater situation where they took in some water and they kind of shake it off. But if they start showing some of these symptoms, this difficulty breathing, why aren't they eating? Why are they acting really lethargic? Go ahead and take them into the doctor, because they could have fluid in the lungs and you got to get it treated pretty quickly.
Adriana, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very important.